Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our Shiur in Mesillas Yesharim. I've been giving these Shiurim for a while now. We're still holding in the Hakdama of the Ramchal to the Mesillas Yesharim, which I've said over and over again. While he calls it a Hakdama, only a preface, the truth is that many of the foundations, many of the Yesaidos of Mussar and of Mesillas Yesharim are laid out kind of in a very basic way in the Hakdama itself. So the Hakdama is in of itself a very important limud. Now, I've been struggling how to figure this out. For those of you that are listening to these shiurim who may want to follow along in the Mesillas Yesharim itself, there are many, many different prints of the Mesillas Yesharim. However, I probably would encourage anyone who really, an English-speaking person who wants to be able to go through the Mesillas Yesharim well, especially if somebody with a limited background and exposure to this type of limud, I probably would encourage them to get the art scroll, Mesillas Yesharim. So I'm going to start giving reference, making reference to where I'm up to by giving the page number in the art scroll Mesillas Yesharim. So while I don't think I'm really going to go further in Mesillas Yesharim today, I'm going to refer back to something we already learned previously. I'm holding now in page 10 of the introduction, and it's in the art scroll, Mesillas Yesharim, page 10, on the first words of the page. We had mentioned previously in our last chair, the Ramchal over here was talking about how important it is for somebody to spend time studying Mussar and studying what it means to have your Shemayim, the value of it, and what it means. And the Ramchal said, from where is somebody going to get the enthusiasm and the desire to have dveikus, to have an attachment to the Ribbono Shel Olam and to the Ribbono Shel Olam's Torah, unless he spends time thinking about these things? This is not something that's going to come to a person naturally. And this is something that the Ramchal keeps on saying over and over and over again. A person, an Adam Hagashmi, a materialistic person, who was born and grew up and lives in a materialistic physical world, he's not going to find in himself suddenly a burning desire and an enthusiasm to have dveikus, to have an attachment to the Ribbono Shel Olam and to his Torah. He's not going to find within himself suddenly, magically, a burning desire to be a spiritual person, to turn himself into a ruchni, to live a ruchniyus life, to live a Torah life. Now, it is true that the Kedushas Yisrael that resides within every Yid does give him a desire, a certain desire for spirituality, which you find people are searching. You find people that are not from, people who did not grow up in observant homes. They find that there's something missing in their life. That's why we have so many Bali Tshuva. People go through life and they realize in of themselves that something is missing. There has to be more to life than this. I always say over a wonderful story about the friend of a very good friend of mine. I shouldn't really say friend. I have a very, very close friend who grew up in, I guess I would call it I don't know if I would call it a very modern Orthodox neighborhood, or maybe not even modern Orthodox. He went to an elementary school where most of the other children in his class were not Shomer Shabbos. And Baruch Hashem, he grew up in a wonderful frum home, and he eventually learned together with me in Yeshiva Staten Island, raised a beautiful, beautiful family. And he would always tell me stories about this one fellow in his class who was the ringleader, the biggest troublemaker of all. And some of his troublemaking had to do with Yiddishkeit. Some of his troublemaking, unfortunately, had to do sometimes with bringing things into the school and into the class that had no business being in a Jewish school or in a Jewish home. And they lost touch, and they each went their separate ways in high school. I believe he went to not to a yeshiva high school, this other fellow. He went to a non-Jewish high school. My friend obviously came to Yeshiva Staten Island. We learned together. And they really lost touch with each other. One fine day, my friend and I are sitting in the Mismerish Yeshiva. We're learning Second Seder. And somebody comes over to him in the days before cell phones. Somebody comes over to him and tells him, you have a phone call by the payphone in the coffee room. So he goes out to the phone, and I'm waiting 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Finally, he comes back in, and he has this look on his face where I know right away, okay, something wild happened. He comes over to me. He tells me, you'll never believe who that phone call was from. Who was it? It was this fellow from his classmate from his old days in Hill Academy in West Orange, New Jersey. Why did he call? He wants to know if he could come to my house for Shavuos. He wants to spend Shavuos with us. I chatted with him for 10, 15 minutes, and I told him, certainly, of course, you're welcome to come. And my friend asked me, would I eat by him on Shavuos? Would I join them for Shavuos? I said, sure. Okay, this fellow comes, a very nice, well-spoken individual, clearly educated. He had gone through college and everything else. And he wants to learn about Yiddishkeit. He wants to know about Yiddishkeit. He wants to learn about his heritage. And he was really, really focused and really interested. And he wanted to learn as much as possible. And it was very clear he wanted to become a Shomer Shabbos. He wanted to become a Shomer Torah Mitzvahs. So finally, my friend asked him, what happened? How did this happen? Where did this come from? So he told him, he said, you remember what I was like in elementary school. You could only imagine what I was like when I went to high school. And then you could imagine what I was like in high school. You could only begin to imagine what I was like when I went to college. I went to college. He said, I did everything that you could imagine. And then after college, I decided to go touring Europe. He came from a well-to-do family. He said, I went and I toured Europe, and I did everything that a person could do. I did not find joy or satisfaction in anything. He says, if I ate delicious food, I enjoyed the delicious food while I ate it. But afterwards, I realized I had nothing from it. Whatever I did, whatever Olam Hazeh-based pleasures I went and I chased, drugs, alcohol, women, everything you could imagine. He says, whatever I tried, I did not find happiness or satisfaction with anything. I always felt like dirt the next day. And over time, I realized there has to be more to our existence than this. And I'm speaking to people, and they're telling me, well, I should check out Buddhism, and I should check out this ism, and I should check out that ism. And I said to myself, I am a Jew. What do I have to check out all those other things for? Let me check out Yiddishkeit. So he started getting involved a little bit in Yiddishkeit, and that woke up the what we call the Pintel Yid, that little Kedushas Yisrael that every Yid is born with, that little spark inside the neshama that every single Yid has. It woke it up, and he wants to know more and more and more and more and more. But you see, that's the thing. That Pintel Yid, that's what's there, but you have to make it grow. The Ramchal is telling you here, if you don't work on it, if you don't pick up the phone and call the friend and say, I want to come for Yom Tov and see what a Yom Tov is all about, if you don't open up a Chumash and learn Chumash and Rashi, if you don't open up a Mesillas Yesharim and learn Mesillas Yesharim, so the hislatus, the enthusiasm for a Torah life, the enthusiasm for dveikus with the Ribbono Shel Olam is not going to come by itself. And here at the beginning of page 10, the Mesillas Yesharim used a word that I want to focus on for a couple of minutes. He said, "Imoloi nishe," if we do not turn El Gedulasai, to the godless of the Ribbono Shel Olam, if we don't make the turn to go pay attention and to think about the greatness of the Ribbono Shel Olam, Ve'el Roi Memusai, and to his awesomeness, and the way Art Girl teaches Roi Memusai, exaltedness, but it's another lashon of greatness, the awe-inspiring greatness of the Ribbono Shel Olam. If we don't take the time to turn means to turn away from the hevel havalim, from the nonsense of everyday life, to turn away from that and to go turn and to look and pay attention and think about the godless of the Ribono Shel Olam. If we don't do that, then where are we going to get hadveikus hazeh? Where are we going to get a feeling to go search for attachment to the Ribono Shel Olam? Now, this concept of turning, I want to take a look at Chumash and tell you something from Chumash. We find by Moshe Rabbeinu, we know that Moshe Rabbeinu grew up in Paro's house, right? He was taken out of the Ya'ar by Bas Paroi, and he grew up in luxury. He grew up royalty. He grew up in the house of Paroi. And then what does the pasuk say? The Torah Kedosha tells us, Vayihi bayamim ahem, and it was in those days, Vayigdal Moshe, and Moshe became great. Rashi says, what does this mean, Vayigdal Moshe? Rashi says it doesn't mean that he came of age, because it already says, V'aloi kvar kasa Vayigdal hayeled. The pasuk already tells me, Vayigdal hayeled, that he grew up, so to speak, that he became of age. So this Vayigdal Moshe does not mean that he became of age. Rashi says what it means is, Amar Reb Yehuda bar Reb Eloi, Shemineu Paroi al Beisai. Vayigdal Moshe means that he was given a position of authority. First, he became of age, and then Paroi gave him, as befitting a prince, somebody who grew up in the royal household, Paroi gave him a position of authority. What does the pasuk say? What did Moshe Rabbeinu do with that position of authority? Vayetze el Echav, he went out to his brethren, he went out to Klal Yisrael, Vayar b'sivloisam, and he saw their work. He saw their slavery. He saw their oppression. Says Rashi, Vayar b'sivloisam, Nosan einav v'libai, he gave over his eyes and his heart, Li'yois alehem, to suffer along with them. Li'yois alehem, to be aggravated and to suffer over their suffering. That's what it means. Vayar b'sivloisam. Doesn't mean people see things and they don't see much. They see, but they don't pay attention. Sometimes vayar means, yeah, you saw. So you ask somebody, you were out in the street, did you see the fire engines down the block? Yeah, I saw it. You saw the fire engine. Did you wonder what's going on? Did you ask yourself what's happening by my neighbor? Is there chas v'chalila a fire? Is there chas v'chalila somebody ill and they call 911 and they send the EMTs? So there's vayar and there's vayar. Rashi tells me here, vayar b'sivloisam doesn't mean just, yeah, he saw them working. He saw Yidden carrying bricks. No, vayar b'sivloisam means he saw, he paid attention, nasan einav v'libai. He gave over his eyes and his heart, liyos meitzar aleim, to think about what they're going through, to pay attention to it and to feel it. That's what it means. Now, take a look what the pasuk says later when Moshe Rabbeinu comes to Har Sinai. Moshe Rabbeinu killed the Mitzri. He was chased out of Mitzrayim. Paro wanted to kill him. He ran away. He married Tzipora, Bas Yisrael. He became a shepherd. He was shepherding the sheep. He came to Har Sinai and he saw the sneh. What does it say? It says, Vayera Malach Hashem Elav Balabas Eish Mitoich HaSneh. The Malach appeared to Moshe Rabbeinu within the sneh. Vayar, and Moshe Rabbeinu saw V'hinei HaSneh Boyer Ba'eish. The sneh is burning in fire. V'asneh Nenu Ukol, but it's not being consumed. Vayomer Moshe, Moshe said, Asurana, I will turn away the ere, and I will see as Hamara Hagadol Hazeh, this great Mara, this great vision. Madua lo yivar asneh. Why isn't the sneh burning? What did Moshe Rabbeinu do here? Rashi says he said, Asurana, Asurana, I will turn. Asura mikan, I will turn away from here. Lehiskarev sham, to come there. What's Rashi telling me here? What Rashi is telling me is Moshe Rabbeinu was shepherding the sheep. He saw a burning sneh. He realized something strange, something unusual is going on here. The sneh is burning, but somehow it's not being consumed. Moshe Rabbeinu said, I must investigate. Asurana, I will turn away from what I'm doing. Asura mikand, I will turn away from here, lihiskarev sham, to come closer to there and investigate. What does the pasuk say next? Vayar Hashem, and the Rabbeinu Shalom saw kisar liros, that Moshe Rabbeinu turned to see. Then vayikra elav alikim mitach hasneh vayemer Moshe vayemer hineni. When the Rabbeinu Shalom saw that Moshe Rabbeinu was a sar liros, that he was somebody who turned away to go see, that's when the Rabbeinu Shalom spoke to Moshe Rabbeinu for the first time, mitach hasneh, and said, Moshe, Moshe, and that's the beginning of Yetzias Mitzrayim. Shtel zechfar rabbeisai. Imagine what would have happened if Moshe Rabbeinu was not a sar liros. Imagine if Moshe Rabbeinu did not turn away. Imagine if he didn't turn to go see. The Rabbeinu Shalom saw that Moshe Rabbeinu was a sar liros. He went to go vayar b'siv loisam. He paid attention to what he saw. He thought about things. He was mesim leiv. He gave his heart over to it. He thought about it. He paid attention to it. He dwelled on it. It affected him. He was a sar liros to be vayar b'siv loisam, to see the suffering of Bnei Yisrael, and he was a sar liros by the sneh. If he wouldn't have been a sar liros, I'm not going to say Yetzias Mitzrayim wouldn't have happened. The Rebbeinu Shalom would have brought it about another way. But I don't know if it would have been Moshe Rabbeinu. It was Moshe Rabbeinu because he was a sar liros. When the Ramchal says over here in Mesillas Yesharim that a person has to turn, imloi nisha el gedulasai v'el hamussar, we need to be a sar liros. We need to turn away from the temporal gashmiyus life that we live on a daily basis. We need to be able to turn away. Now, during COVID-19, that's when I'm recording this, right? With everything going on and with all the things that are going on in everybody's homes, remote learning and remote working, and everybody has kids home, and everything is strange and everything is different, and it's scary and it's frightening and it's nerve-wracking and it's hard. We still have to be a sar liros. We have to be nisha. We have to turn and we have to look. What does the Rabbeinu Shalom want? What messages is there? You know, this is an amazing thing. I told somebody, it used to bother me when I was a child. I was young, and I used to learn Navi. I used to learn Nach. You learn Yeshua, Shoftim, Shmuel, and you learn all about how, you know, you have these stories. The Klal Yisrael was good. The Rabbeinu Shalom took care of them. Klal Yisrael did Averis. The Rabbeinu Shalom brought enemies, and they struggled. The Klal Yisrael did tshuva. The Rabbeinu Shalom saved them. And you get used to seeing it. You get used to learning how the Rabbeinu Shalom is metapel with Klal Yisrael. The Rabbeinu Shalom is a very hands-on parent. And then I said to myself, but now I'm living life then it was in the 20th century. I'm talking about the 70s. You know, I'm living life, and I don't see and I don't feel the Rabbeinu Shalom being a hands-on parent. You don't see it. You don't feel it the same way. Yeah, but now, first of all, it's not true. The Rabbeinu Shalom is just, you have to look into your life. I always say, if everybody would look, pay attention, be a sar liros, look into your life, look at the things that happen in your life, and you'll see the siyata d'shmaya every day. You'll see the Yad Hashem all the time. But what I'm saying over here is even more than that. Nowadays, with all the things that are going on, befrat here in the United States for sure, but all over the world, all the things that are going on, the Rabbeinu Shalom is being metapel. The Rabbeinu Shalom came to us now, and the Rabbeinu Shalom said, I'm not happy with what's going on in the shuls. So I'm sending you out of shul for a couple of months. Go out of shul and rethink your approach to shul. Go away from Kaddish and rethink the value of Amen Yehei Shmei Rabbah. But the Rabbeinu Shalom is being metapel. The Rabbeinu Shalom is working with us. We have to take the lessons. We have to pay attention to it. We have to be nisha. We have to turn. We have to turn away from just the regular day-to-day existence of the Olam HaGashmi with all the Havel Havolim, like Shlomo HaMelech says in Kehelis, all the Havel Havolim, all the futility, all the nonsense that keeps us busy and takes up 90% of our thinking and 90% of our time. And we have to give time over to ruchniyus, We have to give time over to paying attention and to seeing what life is really all about, to learning about ruchniyus, to learning about Yesharim, to learning about dveikus, and to becoming attached to the Rabbeinu Shalom and to his Torah HaKadoshah. The Rabbeinu Shalom should send Yeshuas and Refuas. The Rabbeinu Shalom should take care of us. The Rabbeinu Shalom should live with us. The Rabbeinu Shalom should guide us. And he should bring the Bias Koyel Tzedek B'Meher V'Yameinu. Thank you so much for joining me for limud Torah and limud hamussar. Be well.